You know what's a great thing to find out? That you can buy figurines in Japan for $19.
See the dollary dues.
But also that you can jump to a series with number 3 on the newest title, and you don't have to play any of the previous games, as each entry works as a new starting point. And it's a fun game where you're creating your OC. Things happen as you learn about war, politics, and damn, that princess can really fry that rice or stick a skewer into a fish. You roam the lands to capture monsters by running into a cave, and then you steal the egg from the mother.
Cheese it!
To then put it onto your team to help you in turn-based combat, where you gotta break the enemy's armor, then pick which part of them you want to attack, and sometimes they'll have these crystals on the part, and you really don't want to hit that. But then you break them, and you get these big combo attacks with all the slickest animation. You got multiple weapons, which is a nod to the main series' reputation of turning monsters you hunt into weapons. And your monster has their own attacks too. You can swap the typings of your moves, and it brings this exhilarating rush of you actually having to wait and think what moves you'll use to not let your dinos go extinct. So yeah, fun time. And I didn't have to be blasted with a Star Wars scroll of lore to understand beforehand, even though they are connected, but it's set in the far future. Just like another series.
Calling card.
Persona games are 3 mainline games, where even though they are numbered in sequential order, you don't have to have played the previous one to start the new one. Each game has its own cast and setting, and there may be slight callbacks here and there like, oh, I've seen this character before, but you can pick any aesthetic you like and start with that game. Do you just like blue, yellow, or red? Most people started with 5, and they didn't even play the other ones, or even played 5 for that matter.
Yeah, video game.
But what's crazy is that Persona is the sub-series to another franchise, and you don't even need to have played that one to play this one? What is this? Huh? Shin Megami Tensei? Wow, I'm a Persona fan, so I have no idea what this is. Okay, it's a joke, it's a joke, it's a joke. Of course I know SMT. It's the one about the surgeons, right?
Yes.
This is how you can have a series with the 5th numbered one end up selling the most out of the entire franchise, being a major entry point for people where most of them will like it so much that they'll draw a fan out of Akechi as a puppy, then they'll want to experience more and go backwards through the series, finding out what they like and dislike, maybe becoming a fan of the franchise as a whole. This was me for the most part, especially with Final Fantasy. I started with 15 and was so enamored, I went backwards through each mainline game just because I wanted more of this aesthetic, and now I may have the biggest FF13-2 collection in the world, all because I gave FF15 a chance. And yeah, I didn't need to have played 14 mainline games before this one, despite the numbers in the titles. Well, if you could manage to read those numbers.
In numerals, they never even tried to teach us that in school.
Any point is a jumping in point, which they really wanted you to know. Wait, it ended up selling how much? Then you have the other side of the spectrum of continuity, where numbering actually matters, but maybe you don't know that, because, I mean, this says Kingdom Hearts 3. Monster Hunter Story said 3, and that was fine. So surely, this would be a nice clean slate to jump into a franchise. That's how it works, right? Kingdom Hearts is a series created by this man when he stabbed someone in an elevator, and it features his OCs interacting with Disney and Final Fantasy characters. And when like 75% of the world has some nostalgia for Disney, and like 10 people know what this thing is, you know it's gonna sell well.
Oh, this is a Pikmin. No, it's not. Kupo. It's a Final Fantasy.
And what you end up having is one of the greatest action games ever to grace the PS2. And this.
Say, fellas, did somebody mention the door to darkness?
Wait, what? I played KH1 and 2. What do you mean there's a DS game in between them? A PSP game? A 3DS game? One on the phone? And they're all related to the story?
Of course!
Yes, Square Enix loves to do this. Wow. Is that the famous musician The Weeknd playing Nier Automata? Wow. Is he also then playing Nier Replicant? Wow. What an amazing move for PR. Now, who's gonna tell him that for Nier 3, it's a cancelled mobile game, so he's gotta watch the cutscenes on YouTube? He's not gonna do that. He's already moved on to Persona 5. Do you think he knows what Shin Megami Tensei is? As yes, with Kingdom Hearts, to actually understand the overall plot, you have to engage with media outside of the game you jumped in with. As even though there's a 3 in the title, this is not the third game. There's this many games that you should have probably known the story of to get the bigger picture of whatever he ends up cooking. And even now, the cancelled mobile game is one of the most important parts of the story, and you can only watch the cutscenes on YouTube. But yet, when Kingdom Hearts 3 came out, people didn't do that. They just thought, okay, it worked for Persona 5. I'm just gonna start here. Everyone is hyping this game online. Kingdom Hearts sure is a crazy series. I want some of that. And this was not a good idea, which is why you have insane view counts on recap videos, telling you everything you needed to know before playing the game, which I guess you would have to know beforehand to search out these videos that you needed to be recapped on. Or some people would make the journey actually themselves and try them in order to better understand why the mouse can say the hardest lines in fiction.
What happened?
But what did Square Enix do themselves? Just a recap in the game, which barely explains anything. No video summarizing all of their games, stories. They just treated it like, yeah, you'll be fine. Look, this game has social media. Isn't that quirky? But here's the thing. If they said you gotta go play the entire library of Alexandria to find out what Mickey Mouse ate for breakfast in Hollow Bastion at the start of the Keyblade Graveyard War, people will not buy your new game for 100 AUD and just not engage with it. It's too much effort to catch up now. There's so many other things in the world to experience instead, and thus not as many sold copies, making the shareholders mad, and then they'll fire Nomura. So you can have someone setting up all their hints throughout their own franchise, and it becomes a reward for fans. Like, oh, this character that was in this small game now appears in the console new game 10 years later. But other people are like,
Who is she?
so, how do you market this? Oh, okay. Let's tell everyone that if you haven't played the other ones before, it's fine. Don't worry about it. Don't question why Sora is now in real life Tokyo. It's Disney! This happens so often, even recently with an anime I love, Steins Gate, based on a visual novel where it was like, you know, one of the best animes ever made.
Grab a box of chicken tenders.
But I just recently found out it's actually a sequel to this. Yep, learn something new every day. And so, it sits there on my Steam Deck, waiting for me to try it out. But I can't. I'd just rather do this instead.
Maybe we could hold hands.
There are in-depth videos explaining the overall franchise surrounding Steins Gate and as to why this happens, but yep, turns out Steins Gate was a second part of the Psy ADV series, where people playing them in order will say that you get so much more out of the franchise. But it could be also a thing where maybe you vibe with the time travel in Steins Gate. Oh, this one's about mechs? Not more time travel? And it was even harder to notice that there was a bigger picture because Steins Gate, which, you know, probably has one of the highest rated animes out there, yet the other adaptations
Oh my goodness!
and the Steins Gate anime actually cut out this continuity, try to make it be more standalone. So when you're watching this back in the early 2010s, there's no internet, no videos telling you all this. So many people didn't even know that these were actually connected apart from the naming scheme. But hey, I mean, I did try. I knew they were like thematically connected. Why else would you put a semicolon in the title? I did try to watch Robotics Notes back in the day. I actually did finish Occultic 9 as it aired, and it was insanely good. I really hope the visual novel gets completed and comes over to the West. Why are they so big? And I'm sure there is a vision by the visionary creator of Steins Gate, who copyright claims his own sponsored streams, but then will go on to say how he's grinning ear to ear seeing AI slop of his own characters and videos and not worry about copyrighting them. Or take another series, Ace Attorney, which is about lawyers, where every game is connected, yet there's no numbers in the title, but they are connected to each other. The fourth game is actually a 7-year time skip, so this bum is actually the protagonist of the first 3 games. And then in the next game, he wore a suit again, so that Phoenix Wright can end up feeling like a new young lawyer again, who doesn't know how to lawyer, but he has the body of a 30-year-old man. Which exactly describes me in Japan recently, going to play the Tokyo Joy Police Ace Attorney game in physical form using nothing but Google Translate, but I actually did it! I actually beat it! I still can't read Japanese. But Dual Destinies was a sequel to the fourth game, but you can't just ignore what the fourth game did. Oh, what's that? Who cares? Let's just make another sequel and give Apollo Justice another backstory. All the while putting out official statements like this.
Looking back on the series makes you realize just how much Ace Attorney has going on.
Indeed. And should any of the weirdos or stories pique your interest, why not check them out?
But is it okay to just jump in with, say, Apollo Justice Ace Attorney Trilogy or the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles? I don't remember what happened in the second game, you see? It was like I was hit on the head or something and forgot everything.
Oh, right. You of all people. Every title we've showcased today is entirely self-contained.
So it's perfectly fine to start from whichever one you'd like.
It's like, why even bother putting effort as a fan into getting into a long-running series when the marketers are trying to salvage sales numbers, telling you by getting the official anime voice dubs that no, you can actually jump into this game and be fine. I'm fine, people! Another company that does this is Nintendo, where I'm not the biggest diehard Nintendo fan, but I am aware of how people love that the Zelda games are connected in a timeline sort of way, but I have seen how people say that Tears of the Kingdom refuses to acknowledge Breath of the Wild. Pikmin 4 doesn't follow up on Pikmin 3, like Nintendo would rather value the gameplay more than a connected story, and would only chuck in a couple of teasers for fans linking the stories. Yet now the fans want that connected storytelling. People want to be part of this long journey, something they can keep coming back to, rewarding them for giving up their whole life to memorize everything about the franchise, which you can see online with
One Piece.
You have Oda teasing all these things throughout all the chapters, and you'll see how nuts people get when One Piece reveals something new. It's like the manga version of Kingdom Hearts, and I can see how daunting it is to get into it now. Oh, there's so many chapters. I tried. So how do they try to get new people in? They make a live action show to get in people that way. Because if you don't like reading manga or watching old anime, here you go. That's not enough for you? Well, let's just remake the opening of the anime with a new anime, because now modern fans can watch it if they don't like the old anime pacing, so that they can just post JJK edits timed to Brazilian funk on Instagram Reels. Or even JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, every part, it seems standalone, but every fan will tell you to watch it in order. And yes, that really means you gotta slog through 39 episodes of this to see the peak ending, and oh yeah, it is peak. But now with part 7's episode 1 and nothing else, Netflix will tell you, yeah, this is a great jumping in point, and you will have so many fans telling you, no, don't say that. I guess like One Piece for an example for video games, the Trail series also has this problem where it's very long running and each future game is selling less and less, as people would just jump into Trails of Cold Steel because it looked the most modern entry point, and the naming scheme doesn't really tell you that you should be playing the Sky games beforehand. So what do? They remake the first game, going from this to
She was
this.
being a bully.
And now everyone is happy. They are remaking the next Sky game, so now you can just play these remakes and then jump into the future games in the series. And these examples can go on forever. Yakuza having a reset protagonist with the turn-based combat in the 7th game, but it still is a technical sequel, yet it sold very well, and new people actually like this combat over the other one, so then Sega doesn't know what to do and releases games with both styles. I even felt this when I was trying to get into Sonic, where there's no numbered titles on some of these games. So I'm like, okay, I want to finally try it. I have a Wii U, let me try Sonic Boom. And that game has no recap for anyone because, you know, the fans, they know everything already. But I'm sitting here thinking,
Sonic has to show up right when Eggman is springing a surprise attack on us.
who are you people? So then, oh, okay, should I go back to play the Sonic games in order of release? Wait, which ones? Oh, but what if, for example, I don't like this game's art style or gameplay? What if I just want to play the American one next? This is just an example that happened to me, but it happens so often when you come across a popular old franchise that you never experienced as a kid, yet they're still making new games or episodes, and it's a gamble for you, a toss-up, a 6-7 if you will, a roll of the dice, that playing the newest game will be fine for your understanding. Like, okay, this franchise, the 5th game, it's fine, but when I play Sonic Forces,
None of this is good, Vector. That's why it's called war.
Wait, why is that happening? So then you're expected to do your own research beforehand for every game that you want to try out. You know that person I showed earlier from the Kingdom Hearts clip? The reason they are playing the PS2 emulated version, not the Steam version, not even the Final Mix emulated one, is because no one told them that there were other versions. They just assumed it was a PS2 only thing that never got ported. Do you see how hard it is for game devs to try and bring in new people? It's like all of these long-running series. You really got to do your own research to jump in. If you are aware that it was a long-running series and you just see one random game pop up in your feed. Or sometimes it's just going to be fine, like you can play Persona 6. There will be no link at all to the previous games, apart from paid DLC where they'll make you dress up as Morgana the cat. I know it's gonna happen. I mean, let me know below if this happened to you, where you tried to get into a series and then you were so confused that you had to play something beforehand. I know I can't be the only one who experienced this. You're telling me none of you played Baldur's Gate 1 and 2 before the third one? Wow. I thought you researched beforehand. I kid you not. When FF16 released, I saw many people in replies to Square Enix asking them, wait, do I have to play 15 games before this one? Actually asking.
Sometimes I feel like there's a whole world out there we don't know about.
Because I don't see any way out of this. If you want your game to sell, you make each game be connected in gameplay and themes, some sort of similar plot structure, maybe a callback here and there, but each game is standalone. New cast and characters. Despite there being numbers, any game you can just jump in perfectly and it's fine for your enjoyment and it's a good time. But sometimes you're a creator that wants to reward fans for playing each entry like it's an actual sequel following on from the ending of the previous one. Things continue in each entry building up the characters despite there being on the box art no numbers, so the admission ticket to these newer ones becomes higher. You gotta play all these backlog of games to get into the series, which means the newer games when they come out, if you haven't played the previous ones, you're not gonna buy it. So then each subsequent entry sells less and less, like a let's play that dies off in views after each part comes out till the finale. So then your marketing team or publisher has to whip out the old. It really doesn't seem like there's a consistent answer to this problem, as each franchise has tackled it in its own way. I think actually the moral of this story is, if you see numbers on the box art, it's fine to jump in, because statistically seem to be more fine with random jumping in points. But if you see games with confusing taglines and no numbers, or the numbers don't make sense, you should probably play them in release order and do some research yourself. But the actual moral of the story is that games can do whatever they want with the story, I don't care. But just let me ride my chud lizard pet.
Stupid bug! You go squish now!
Trojan, Ramses, Magnum, Sheik.